Hey guys, just wanted to take a minute and do a quick overview of SOAPSTone as you guys practice it these last couple of days in class, just to make sure we're all kind of on the same page in terms of understanding the elements of SOAPSTone, because as I was grading your guys' work, I really noticed just a tendency to misunderstand some aspects of SOAPSTone. We got to start thinking bigger. We got to think beyond just, oh, this is a trial, this is a murder, this is a rape, this is a whatever. We have to start really thinking about consciously the overall purpose of the trial. So when you are delivering those opening and closing statements, you can really be convincing to your jury. So let's just do a quick overview of things that I noticed in terms of the aspects of SOAPSTone, starting with the speaker. This is not just who the speaker is, right? If you just wrote Atticus, he's a lawyer. You have to go beyond that because he's conveying aspects about who he is as a person based on his closing argument. So first off, we can see what he believes. Right? His beliefs are that the court should never have brought this case to trial, that it's a ridiculous case, that Tom's innocence is unquestionable. He believes that. You also notice he really believes in the power of the courts. Here he capitalizes the courts. See here, in addition, he says, our courts are the great levelers. In our courts, all men are created equal. He believes in the power of the justice system. He says that's no ideal, that's a reality. And he genuinely believes it. And in the video you saw, he got really passionate and kind of fired up about this part. It really emphasizes his beliefs. He also believes in equality between the races, right? When he calls Tom Robinson a human being, that's important for more than just one reason, but that shows his belief in equality. Okay, so hopefully you said something like that for speaker. Now moving on to occasion, I really wanted you to talk about the time-honored code of our society. He mentions this code, this rule that the town or the setting that this trial takes place in, and how it shapes the case. So the code is the races don't mix, right? She was white and she tempted a Negro. Blacks and whites don't mix, that's the code, and that breaking of that code is what prompted this case at all. So this tells you something about the setting, right? That the people within this town uphold segregation and therefore are prejudiced. So that's important to know, especially for its connection to our audience. So audience, he really tailors his speech to his audience because he knows they're all white, they're all male. So he specifically calls them gentlemen more than once. He calls them gentlemen here. He calls them gentlemen here more than 4 times, specifically because he's trying to flatter them. He wants them to see him as one of them. He wants them to identify with him. He wants them to see him as a friend, someone that they can trust. So calling them gentlemen is an easy way to do that. He also says, in the name of God, do your duty. In the name of God. He says it twice because he knows his audience is religious. He knows that in the name of God is a powerful statement for them. It's going to really resonate with them and mean something. So in addition, he really plays up their ego a little bit, right? When he says, this is an evil assumption that all Negroes lie, etc., which I do not need to point out to you. Yes, he does need to point that out to them because they're prejudiced and they're racist. But by saying that, he's like flattering them. He's like, oh, you guys are better than this. An assumption that one associates with minds of their caliber. You're not as stupid as the racists in our town, even though they probably are. He's flattering them and kind of buttering them up by speaking to them that way. So I wanted you to notice that. The subject is not just this is a trial. They're trying to convince that Tom is innocent. No. The subject needs to be centered around the idea of the justice system and equality, right? In our courts, all men are created equal. If you could, in your own words, rephrase that into something like the justice system or the court system is something that allows all people, despite their race, to receive true justice or receive and find the truth. That is the subject here. That's what matters, okay? And the purpose, again, not just to show that Tom is innocent. That is a huge thing. He also wants to show that Tom is a human being, that he's equal to them, because in order for them to believe that Tom is worthy of being named innocent, they have to see him as a person. So he explicitly calls Tom Robinson a human being. He reminds them to restore this man to his family. He's got a family. He's got a life. He's a human being. That's what he's trying to do with the purpose there. And then last, let's talk about tone. These are emotions that he attempts to convey through his speech, right? His attitude towards his subject. So it changes throughout. It starts off sort of disgusted and dismayed, and moves into really passionate and desperate tones. So hopefully you said something like that. Even if you just listed adjectives, that's what I'm looking for. List emotions. That's what tone is. Tone is always an emotion that the speaker or the writer is conveying. Okay, so if you feel really confident about SOAPSTone, we're going to move on to applying SOAPSTone into our own opening and closing arguments. So start brainstorming with your group. I only want one submission per group on Teams, but start thinking about what qualities do you guys want to exhibit through your opening and closing statements. What's the context beyond just that this is an assignment for class? Who are our audience? We know that there are parents, but what assumptions can we make about our parents as jury members? What's going to really speak to them as an audience? What's your purpose, right? It's more than just getting Lenny off. It's more than just convicting Lenny. Your subject, think big here. Think of your tone. What kind of tone do you want to convey, right? Thanks for watching.